Hello friends, today let's explore why wisdom feels abstract more often than not. Wisdom has always pulled at human curiosity. You see it everywhere, in the verses of the Upanishads, in the dohas of Kabir, in Chanakya's Arthashastra, in Tagore's Gitanjali, and even in the quick proverbs that elders drop into everyday conversations at the dinner table. Wisdom is never presented like a clear manual, step 1, step 2, step 3. Instead, it comes dressed in a slightly mysterious robe. It feels poetic, slightly detached from everyday details, often floating above the mess of ordinary life. And it makes you pause and think. But the question is why? Why is wisdom so often abstract, instead of being plain and direct like instructions on a recipe card? That's what I want us to think about today. To start, let's clarify the basics. What do we mean by wisdom, and what do we mean by philosophy? These two words are related, but they aren't the same. Wisdom, in simple terms, is the ability to use knowledge, experience, and judgment to navigate the complexities of life. It's about applying what you know in a way that truly works. It's not about collecting facts like a dictionary or being able to quote lines like a parrot. It's about distilling all that information into insight that helps you live better. Take the Bhagavad Gita, for example. Krishna doesn't just dump facts on Arjuna. He gives him wisdom, act according to your duty, but without attachment to the results. That's not mere knowledge, that's wisdom. Philosophy, on the other hand, literally means love of wisdom in Greek philosophia. It is the systematic way of asking questions about life, reality, morality, knowledge, existence. Philosophy is about frameworks, theories, reasoning. You can imagine philosophy as the map, the structure. Wisdom is walking the path itself and knowing where to step carefully. To use a simple analogy, knowledge is knowing that the mango is sweet. Philosophy is sitting down and asking what is sweetness, and why do humans like it. Wisdom is saying, let me share this mango with someone who is hungry. All three have value. But wisdom stands apart because it is lived and applied, not just thought or stored. And this brings us to the core of today's exploration, abstraction. Let's simplify the word itself first. Abstraction simply means not tying something down to a single specific case. It is about making something general, symbolic, open-ended. Philosophy also deals with abstract ideas like justice, truth, existence. But wisdom goes one step further. It takes the mess of life, pulls out the essence, and expresses it in a way that is not limited to one person, one place, or one situation. That's why wisdom often reaches us through stories, parables, metaphors, and poetry. Take Kabir's Doha, Bura jo dekhan mein chala, bura na milya koi. Jo man khoja apna, mujhse bura na koi. On the surface, it's just a couplet. But the wisdom here is deeply abstract. He is saying that if you go around looking for bad people, you won't find them. But if you look inside, you'll realize your own flaws. That's not a fixed instruction. It's an abstract truth about human nature, adaptable to any era. A student can apply it, a politician can apply it, a parent can apply it. This is where wisdom shows its beauty. Abstraction leaves room for interpretation. It's like a lamp in the middle of a dark hall. The lamp doesn't tell you which corner to explore, but its light allows you to choose your path. The Gita's teaching of Nishkam Karma, doing your duty without attachment, is exactly like this. For Arjuna, it meant picking up the bow and fighting. For a modern person, it might mean working hard in their job without obsessing over promotions. For an artist, it might mean pouring their soul into art without craving applause. Same wisdom, many lives, many shapes. Abstraction also gives wisdom a poetic shine. Rabindranath Tagore once wrote, "Faith is the bird that feels the light and sings when the dawn is still dark." He could have said, believe even when times are tough. That would have been concrete, practical advice. But look at how abstract poetic wording makes it timeless. It touches the heart. It's not just advice, it's inspiration. That's why abstract wisdom often feels more memorable than plain instructions. Another point, abstraction keeps wisdom alive when practical details become outdated. For example, if I say always save 10% of your salary, that's practical. But what if inflation changes? Or what if you are in a time when savings accounts don't exist? That rule collapses. But abstract wisdom, like live within your means, survives across centuries. A villager, a city dweller, a farmer, a startup founder, all can use it, each in their own way. This is why sayings like "Boon boon se sagar banta hai," the ocean is made drop by drop, still ring true today, whether it's about saving money, studying, or building habits. Abstraction also prevents wisdom from becoming dogma, a rigid command. Concrete rules can trap us. Abstraction frees us. Think of the word dharma. In Indian thought, dharma doesn't mean just religion or duty. It's an abstract principle of right living. Because it's abstract, it can be interpreted according to context. For a student, dharma may mean studying sincerely. For a soldier, it may mean protecting. For a parent, it may mean nurturing. Abstraction is what makes dharma alive, adaptable and deep. Now, does this mean philosophy is not abstract? Of course, philosophy is also deeply abstract. In fact, philosophy is all about abstraction. Plato spoke of forms, perfect ideals that exist beyond the physical world. For him, beauty, truth, justice weren't just things you saw, they existed as eternal abstract ideas. Aristotle created categories, again, abstract groupings to make sense of reality. So yes, philosophy is abstract, but here's the key difference. Philosophy often stays at the level of debate, of frameworks. It asks, what is justice, and discusses it in theory. Wisdom takes the same abstraction and applies it in daily life. When a village elder settles a dispute by reminding both parties of fairness and compassion, that is wisdom, abstract justice in practical motion. Wisdom's abstract quality also connects with psychology. Psychologists say abstract thinking is what allows us to see connections, imagine possibilities, and step beyond the obvious. For example, when we say patience is a virtue, it's not telling you wait for exactly 10 minutes in this situation. It's abstract. It means patience is valuable in countless ways, in countless scenarios. You can apply it while waiting for exam results, while raising a child, or while recovering from illness. Abstract wisdom, unlike rigid rules, is infinitely reusable. Indian culture gives us so many examples. Chanakya's Arthashastra is full of practical strategies, but its core wisdom is abstract, the need for foresight, discipline, and ethical governance. Swami Vivekananda's call, arise, awake and stop, not till the goal is reached, doesn't tell you what exact goal. That abstraction is its power. For one person the goal is education, for another it's freedom, for another it's inner growth. The wisdom breathes because it is not tied down. Now to be fair, not everyone agrees that wisdom is mostly abstract. There are strong opposing views. Aristotle himself distinguished between Sophia, theoretical wisdom, and phronesis, practical wisdom. Sophia was abstract, phronesis was action-oriented, concrete, like a doctor deciding how to treat a patient based on the situation. Some critics say, abstraction makes wisdom too vague. For example, the book of Ecclesiastes in the Bible says, all is vanity. That's so abstract it can feel depressing or meaningless. But Proverbs on the other hand gives concrete wisdom like, a gentle answer turns away wrath. Similarly, in rural India you hear concrete wisdom like, if ants move in a line, rains will come soon. That's direct, practical, based on observation. It's not abstract at all. So yes, wisdom can be concrete too. But here's the twist, concrete wisdom often doesn't travel far in time. It may work in one context, but not in another. Abstract wisdom on the other hand survives centuries. That's why lines like Satyamev Jayate, truth alone triumphs, still guide India as a national motto. It's abstract, universal and powerful. Let me give another angle. Abstraction also allows wisdom to grow. If you define something too rigidly, it becomes a dead end. But abstract principles can be layered with new experiences. For example, the abstract value of ahimsa, non-violence, was present in the Upanishads, grew stronger with Mahavira and Buddha, and then Gandhi applied it in his own way during India's freedom struggle. If ahimsa had been defined in one narrow way, it would have been stuck in the past. But its abstraction allowed it to evolve. Another reason abstraction is essential is because life itself is contradictory. Logic seeks consistency, but wisdom often tolerates contradiction. For instance, sometimes silence is wise, but sometimes speaking up is wise. An abstract principle like act with compassion can handle both contradictions. That's why wisdom feels abstract. It has to leave space for flexibility. To wrap this exploration together, wisdom's abstraction is not a coincidence. It's the very thing that gives it its power. Abstraction makes wisdom poetic, memorable, flexible, universal, adaptable. Philosophy may also be abstract, but often in a more rigid or theoretical way. Wisdom uses abstraction to empower personal growth and practical action. Yes, wisdom can sometimes be concrete, like a farmer's weather saying, but those don't last across eras. It's the abstract sayings that echo through generations. Kabir's dohas, the Gita's verses, Tagore's poetry, Vivekananda's speeches, they all survive because of abstraction. And maybe the real wisdom for us is to recognize this. Wisdom speaks in abstraction not because it wants to be vague, but because it wants to stay alive in every time, every culture, every heart. That's why we still find ourselves quoting lines written thousands of years ago, still making them our own, still applying them to problems that the original authors never imagined. Abstraction is the secret that keeps wisdom timeless.